Good morning, Gamecocks. I'm Chloe Findlay.
And I'm Meagan Daukshus. Chloe, Delaney, Caroline, and I are back for the summer, giving you the recap on the news and happenings on the USC campus and around Columbia.
I'm Caroline Smith, and we hope you're enjoying our summer podcast edition of Good Morning Gamecocks.
And I'm Delaney Flanagan. This week, USC celebrates its beloved mascot, Cocky, on National Mascot Day.
The United States Surgeon General calls for warning labels to be placed on social media for minors.
Summer music festivals are back for the season, and one artist is on the rise.
And Juneteenth was celebrated as a national holiday for the fourth time in the United States. We hope to get your weekend started in the right direction. Welcome to Good Morning Gamecocks. Welcome back, everybody. Episode 2 of the summer pod.
How we feeling?
Feeling pretty good. I kind of want to hear about Delaney's weekend at the music festival. How was that?
Oh my gosh, you guys. For those of you who don't know, I spent my weekend in Manchester, Tennessee for Bonnaroo. My feet are so swollen. It's disgusting. It was so fun. I camped. I camped for 5 nights, so I'm really brave. But I also got to see so many cool music artists. I got to see Chappell Roan. I got to see Ethel Cain, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Cage the Elephant, Post Malone, Meagan Thee Stallion, like literally a little bit of everything.
That's awesome. You're a champ for making it back in time to record an episode of Good Morning Gamecocks with us.
I had to.
I think we're going to hear more about some musical artists later in the episode. So let's get right into it. Gamecocks, we've got some stories for you to kick off your weekend, starting with celebrating everybody's favorite Gamecock, Cocky himself.
Woohoo! So, this past Monday was National Mascot Day. We thought we would give you some of the history on our very own Cocky. Actually, while I was writing the story, little fun tidbit real quick. I taught University 101, which was our freshman year class, and you're able to teach it when you hit your junior year. And so I reached out to my co-teacher because I was like, did I write about Cocky for like a PowerPoint for our class? And he was like, no, you just have a lot of knowledge on Cocky. So when we did the historic tour around the horseshoe and around the campus, we took him to McKissick, and I'll get to that in a bit, but I was talking about Cocky to my students, and I thought I had it down. I just have knowledge about this. So I'm going to give you some of that knowledge. Let's first talk about his most recent accomplishments. This year, Cocky placed second in the finals at the NCAA College Nationals in Daytona. Woo-hoo.
Second?
Yeah.
Second?
Who was first?
I think it was Aubie.
No, we got ripped off. Who even is Aubie? Is that Auburn?
The Auburn Tiger?
Auburn.
No, are you serious? A tiger? How many schools have tigers? What other schools has an angry chicken? Come on.
Only one.
Jacksonville State.
Exactly. Oh, you're right. Jacksonville State does
they're
have
also
a
the
Gamecock.
Gamecocks.
The gross Cocky.
Is the NCAA College Nationals just like a mascot competition?
Cheer as well. It's also cheer. I can't find it off the top of my head. I believe it was Aubie, though. If someone wants to fact check me on that while I talk about Cocky, let me know. So, a little bit of a backstory. The original mascot wasn't even named Cocky. It was Big Spur, similar to the name of our live mascot, Sir Big Spur. He was obviously costumed. Big Spur was very tall, intimidating, but in my opinion, very scary. But the students loved him. His mascot outfit was made out of fabric, cardboard, styrofoam, and it was made by his mom. And there's a little bit of history. A lot of people used to just dress up to go to games. So people would dress up as Gamecocks, and that's kind of where the tradition came of a Gamecock mascot. Big Spur, the original mascot, was introduced as a fraternity pledge class project, headed by student Chuck Eaton, which I think is kind of funny. But he wasn't the first one, people dressing up as Gamecocks dating back to 1940. In 1980, Cocky debuted as Sir Big Spur, Big Spur's son, and people hated it. They were not on board with it. They thought that he was too friendly. He wasn't intimidating enough. But if you look at the original Cocky mascot, it's still pretty creepy. It's a little scary.
No, he was definitely creepy. I remember I don't remember where I saw it. It might have been in U101 where we were looking at the iterations of Cocky. It was creepy. Like that, no.
I think the current one is definitely the best. And I think that part of the reason Cocky is so great is because he's adorable.
He's so cute.
You want to interact with him.
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah, it's
Like, I just want to pinch his cheeks. Beak.
just be.
Also, I
Yeah.
did just get back from fact checking, and I think it's Mike the Tiger from LSU, so other Tiger in the SEC.
Oh.
is the
Oh,
top
wait.
rated.
The one that I looked at said Truman the Tiger from Mizzou won. So
Was it the one in Daytona? That's the one we competed at. We didn't compete at the one. There's 2 cheerleading competitions. There's the Daytona one, and there's one I think it's in like Indianapolis or something.
I just found the article from Daytona. Hang on, I'll be on it in just a couple of
All
seconds.
right. Well, let's
Keep
chat
going.
more. I'll chat more about Cocky. So, I said Big Spur was Cocky's dad. They changed his costume to make it look more like Cocky. And, we see Cocky's parents every family weekend. It's a tradition that's been going on forever. And Cocky's parents wear a cute little pin that says, "My son is number 1." The number he wears on his jersey, which is super
that's
adorable. Also, we were talking about the old Cocky costumes. I don't think I read this in. I was saying you can visit during football season the old Cocky uniforms in the McKissick Museum off the Horseshoe. So I highly recommend going to check that out because they're like right there. Like it's like you can touch it. Don't touch it, obviously, but they're right there.
So on Parents Weekend, when Cocky's parents come out, is it like other people that are like in the Cocky suit, or is it just like other people that play Cocky that are in like the parents?
Or is it
Well-
the kid who plays Cocky's parents get to wear the parent suits?
That would be awesome.
Do you know? It's really a secret.
Well, it's very secretive. I don't want to spill too many secrets.
wait,
'cause
you know the secrets?
I know how you can become Cocky.
No way. Are you
Yeah.
serious?
Megan,
Yeah,
are
I
you
figured
hiding
it out.
something from us?
You're
Megan, I
definitely
think if
hiding
you talk
something.
about that, we'll get our podcast taken down. I don't think.
Yeah, so that's why I'm not going to talk about it. I'll just say a very important person told me. So,
Cocky. Cocky told me.
yeah, Cocky himself.
There's only one, guys.
I do think, though, I have a feeling that obviously there's multiple Cockies because how can like one Cocky be at the soccer and football or volleyball game at the same time?
Is one guy running really fast back and forth?
Yeah,
That does make me wonder, in like Disney parks, like Walt Disney World has
tunnels.
this thing where Mickey cannot be in more than one place at a time. So
That's true.
So actors wear the Mickey suit like 20 minutes at a time because it's hot in there. So like you get from 10 a.m. to 10:20, Mickey is at Cinderella's castle in Magic Kingdom, and then Mickey goes away. And then from 10:20 to 10:40, Mickey is in Epcot. So like you can't have like he cannot appear in more than one place at the same time because people would like fact check it on social media, like people would timestamp it on Snapchat, and it would ruin the magic.
that's crazy.
I
Do you think-
respect the commitment to the bit.
I bet that Cocky is not as
Committed?
punctual as
That's what I was
Mickey
going to
Mouse.
say. There's definitely multiple Cockies running around at once. 100%.
No one's fact checking him.
No.
Yeah, probably not. Well, Cocky does appear out of nowhere, just like Mickey Mouse, in the iconic Carolina pregame show. If you've been to a football game, if you watched the pregame show on YouTube, you can see him come out of the Magic Box as Space Odyssey 2001 plays. But this year, the tradition changed this past season. And now Cocky comes out on a cockaboose train. And just like when Cocky first came out, people are not happy about it. What do you guys think?
I love the cockaboose. I think it's so cute, and the cockabooses are so iconic. I love it.
I think it's electric. I love it. Because we were just talking last week about the trains and the connection between trains and the city. So
Yeah.
I just think it's really cool that he comes out on a train now. And there's usually someone, there's a cheerleader driving the train. I love it. I think it's great. I love
Also
it.
because the cockaboose is such like a staple like of game days, and you always see them. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. I mean, I heard, Yik Yak was going crazy. I do miss the box a little bit, but he still comes out of the chimney of the train, right? Does he? Okay. I
also
don't get
think
to
that, like,
watch it.
a train like driving on the field. That's dope. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
It is cool. I will say when that first changeover came, I'm in the band, so obviously I can't even watch the pregame show. I'm part of the pregame show. But they had us practice with the cockaboose, and the whole band was the only people that knew about the cockaboose until the first game. And we watched it roll out. I was shocked. I was like, I gotta keep my mouth shut. But I wish I could tell everyone. It was awesome.
Megan's
All right.
really keeping all the secrets.
Yeah. The hardest secret I had to keep was when we found out about going to the Macy's parade. Like, we found out at our practice, and we had to wait until halftime when they announced it on the field.
Oh my gosh. That's like a unbearably long time for news that's that good.
Yeah,
Oh,
it was hard. It was like 6 hours, and it was the hardest 6 hours of my life.
Do you know if Cocky's going to New York?
I honestly would assume he would.
He
I-
better.
I think it wouldn't make sense for him not to be representing our school with us. I could see him. I'm not sure if the cheerleaders are or not. But I guess we'll see what happens.
I need
I do want
Nikki
to talk
in the
actually a
blood.
little bit Cocky shenanigans. Cocky's everywhere. He's always doing the craziest stuff. One time he did perform with the marching band, and he's so funny. He's got side quests. One of the past mascots, he talked about how he wants to stay anonymous and creating a mystique surrounding the character. And for this reason, he turned down going on the Tonight Show. That's crazy.
That's true commitment to the character. You can't get better than that.
You really can't. He was also, I don't know, I think I mentioned this. He was also ranked a ranked mascot in 2019 by Sports Illustrated. They ranked him as one of the best mascots in college history. I looked it up. He was number 7, I believe.
I also just looked up the Daytona competition you were talking about and confirmed the University of Missouri has the number 1 mascot. That is also a tiger.
Wow.
There's
There's
too
too
many
many
tigers.
There's too many.
It's saturated. The
Yeah,
college
way too
mascot
many.
market is saturated with tigers.
It
Wow.
is.
We don't even have those in the US. Like, Gamecocks are at least everywhere.
True.
I guess so.
All right. And now one last little note, little tradition behind Cocky. I think a lot of you may have been starting to see this because it's been going all over social media since last year and a few years before. Cocky, the tradition of Cocky, whatever student played Cocky at graduation, they get to walk with wearing Cocky's yellow feet. And during the sandstorm send-off, all the students, sandstorm it up. Cocky gets to run around one last time in his feet. Not the whole costume, just the feet. The university posts it every year. It's always going viral. Last year, it went so viral that the student was actually featured on ABC Nightly News with David Muir. I remember just sitting watching the news one night, and I was like, I know them. I didn't know them, but it's Cocky, and that's so cool to see that it made national television in a nightly primetime event. I think it's great to see how much love Cocky's getting, even when it's not just at our school. I think it'll be awesome. So.
Well, yeah, because he's the best. Well, according to NCA, I guess he's not the best mascot around. But
How dare they? The disrespect.
a tiger? Really? A tiger? No.
The original.
He's been
Yeah.
wronged.
Maybe
Anyway,
next year.
we're talking about all this social media sensation surrounding Cocky. Let's talk more about social media and maybe the not so good sides of it. So this Monday, the U.S. Surgeon General, Dr. Vivek Murthy, wrote an opinion piece for the New York Times about putting warning labels on social media for those under 18, very similar to warning labels that you would find on tobacco products. He says that social media does immense harm on a young person's mental state, anxiety, depression, body image, etc. And programs such as push notifications and the infinite scroll, which is how you're just able to scroll and everything will just keep going. They contribute to overuse of social media and further chance that you could get serious negative side effects from social media. So he's essentially comparing social media to an addictive drug.
That's
basically.
hardcore, but I feel like, just in the way that I find myself getting stuck in the doldrums of endless Instagram scrolling, he's probably kind of right.
Yeah, I don't disagree at all. I mean, it's just when you learn, you go to school and you go to elementary school and you see those big signs like don't smoke, it's addictive, it's going to destroy your life. And then you kind of like look at what addictive products do to you and then you compare it to what social media can do to you and it's scarily similar.
Yeah, do y'all remember like Red Ribbon Week growing up? Is that what it was called everywhere? Like that was like the Say No to Drugs Week at my school. That was what we called it.
Yeah.
Like I wonder,
There.
is the new Red Ribbon Week going to be I mean, it's not like we're ever going to teach kids to stop saying no to drugs, but are we going to like add things onto it? Like is a say no to social media thing in the works for the future?
I feel like it's hard because obviously with like, drugs, there's only one bad side really to it. With social media, there's good and bad. So it's hard to, they still should be, there should probably be some kind of regulations for these children on social media at such a young age, but I don't think it can get to that extent.
How old were y'all when you got your first social media? I think mine was Snapchat and I was like 12.
I think I had Instagram when I was like 10, low-key.
Jeez.
Really?
What were you even posting about?
Probably something stupid. I don't know.
I remember like the night that I downloaded Instagram. I think it was my junior year of high school is when I finally got it. And that was like my first introduction to social media.
Chloe's a healthy, well-adjusted person.
Even though I got started on social media late, I feel like it's still, I mean, I still find myself sitting and just not being able to like suck myself away. It's a problem, It's that instant gratification that you get when you do it, and you can't pull yourself out, do anything. Even when I scroll past those motivational videos, they don't do anything for me.
They bounce right off.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, I'm gonna get up, I'm gonna do what I need to do, but let me just watch one more. It just doesn't work.
It's true.
I also feel like just because of the way that I guess just like the algorithm stuff works on social media when you're scrolling, like it's so easy for kids to accidentally see one video and watch a video all the way through and that's all they see, which I think can be really harmful depending on what we're talking about. And also just I feel like social media, I think now is honestly safer than it was when we were probably using it.
You think
like,
so?
I'm just saying, like, how when you were bored in like middle school, you'd like go on Omegle. And that was so dangerous.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think that it used to be, well, I don't know if it's safer now or if younger teenagers are just more aware of the dangers, which seems to be the camp that the Surgeon General's in, like just trying to make people more aware.
I also think that as like we get older and like millennials are getting older and millennials are starting to have kids, because millennials are, I feel like the people that were like on the internet, like obviously before like everybody else, but they're kind of realizing how it affected them and they're like, I don't want my kids exposed to that. So I honestly think we're going to see like a natural decline in social media use, or at least a later starting age for it. Like for me personally, like I feel like if I had a kid, I don't think I would do internet, phone, like limited internet access probably until like 12, like or 13. Because I just think there's so much dangerous stuff out there that's just so easy to find. Yeah.
So the state of South Carolina has attempted a couple times to pass legislation that essentially puts guardrails up for minors on social media. There's two proposed bills that I found. One of them is way larger than the other. If you want to go look it up for yourself, South Carolina bill, it was in the House, it was 4,700, that was the number of it. But it was essentially forcing social media companies to verify an account holder's age before they were allowed to make a profile through like actual submission of a government issued document. Like you would have to submit your ID or your passport and get that verified through your parent. So your parent either had to send in an electronic signature, go on a video chat, write an email, or send in their license or their passport themselves for you to use social media.
I do not want Zuckerberg having access to my driver's license.
Yeah, no, that's sketch.
Yeah, I thought that was a little bit weird that you had to submit your ID. Of course, they say that they would delete the data from it as soon as it was verified, but you can never be sure of that. The internet takes enough data off of ourselves anyway. Like, I feel like I don't need to give them more.
And with the way that everybody's just selling our information to everybody else, like, there's no way that that would be, like, properly regulated. But I also think, like, I don't think that social media, in order to regulate social media, that we need this. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like most of it just comes from education. It's like, you know, when you were in elementary school and you got, like, a bunch of, like, stranger danger lessons? Like, that's, I think, the vibe that we need. Is just kind of,
I
like,
agree.
Like, just be transparent about it. Like, there's dangerous stuff out there, like you need to stay away from it. And like some kid is going to go down that rabbit hole, but
it was these big trials with like Meta and TikTok that were going on these past couple years. I forgot, it might be both Facebook and TikTok, but at least one of them said the app wasn't even designed for kids under 15 or 16 because you're just so vulnerable at such a young age, and you're being exposed to all of this stuff that you would not necessarily be exposed to without access to a worldwide net, But one of the other things that a bill they were trying to pass in the Senate talked about was getting rid of automated decision systems, which is essentially how your For You page is curated. So what that bill was talking about was deleting the AI that is needed to contour content specific to your likings. Because when you have content that you like that you're scrolling through, you're inevitably going to scroll through it more. And so that was talking about having to get rid of that. But that did not go very far. That bill was first introduced in December. First introduced in January of 2023, and it wasn't touched since then. So
that's an interesting concept, though. Like, I remember when I first got Instagram, like probably about 7 years ago now, there used to be a bottom. Like, you couldn't scroll forever. Like, eventually it would just tell you, like, you've seen it all. You're done.
Yeah, the algorithm then was different too. Like, it's not constant random posts of people you're not even following. It used to just be the people you followed in time order. This person posted 30 seconds, a minute, like it was a lot different. It didn't, now they're making it for that endless scrolling that's so dangerous.
Yeah, no, it's like you see content that's like so stimulating. It's like how like children's entertainment also is like so weird right now because like babies are getting addicted to like Cocomelon, and it's because it's so like white, and it's like, whoa, like it's the same thing. Like we just need to, guys, like we need to chill. It's just like, I just think we need like good education and just kind of better, it's like a rating system almost or something like that. I don't know how you would do it on social media, but
it's tough because it's weird to think about your generation being the test dummy for something. But I mean, we really are. Social media was introduced the early 2000s, right? 2009, something like that.
When was MySpace a thing? That was the first one.
I think that was the late night. I want to say that was the 90s, but I could be wrong.
2003.
2003.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah,
that was,
so we really,
I was born in 2003.
Same.
So we really are like we are the first generation that is going to see side effects of this. I mean, I guess you could call it an addictive substance, in some regards. Just when tobacco first came out, doctors were recommending you to take it because they didn't realize the long-term, effects of it. And I feel like we're becoming a little bit more wiser to what excessive social media use does now. And I mean, I think we should kind of take if the Surgeon General is coming out, I mean, he is the most important doctor in the United States of America. If he's coming out and saying, hey, this thing is dangerous, I feel like we should take that pretty seriously.
I agree. I feel like there's probably a reason why this particular guy got to be at the top of all the doctors in the US, and we should probably listen when he says something.
Well, speaking of social media and just social media phenomenons in general, I kind of wanted to just take a moment to put a spotlight on an artist that I saw this past weekend, and just somebody who I feel like has just absolutely like broken through everything, has just risen to fame so fast, and that's Chappell Roan. I was not a fan. Like, I don't want to say I'm not a fan. I only know like the 3 most popular of her songs, and I went because I was like, I have to go. Like, she's doing all these great things. And especially after seeing her Gov Ball set, she headlined Gov Ball in New York City, where the crowd was like absolutely insane. I don't know if it was like, I wonder how many people were there. Thousands of people. Like, I don't want to say hundreds of thousands because it seems like a lot of people, like probably like 50,000 people. And the same thing happened at Bonnaroo. So they actually like ended up moving her. She was originally going to perform. So like 3 months ago, she was still like kind of underground. and Bonnaroo had her in like a tent venue. And because she like exploded so fast, they ended up having to move her to like one of the main stages, which I think is really awesome. They were able to accommodate that. But I just kind of I like did some research. I was like, well, what happened? Like, this is so crazy how this woman was just able to kind of just like burst out of nowhere. And basically she came out with a single, Good Luck Babe, that just absolutely like blew up. Like, it went crazy viral. And she also had some hit wonders like trending on TikTok and stuff before, like I think her song Casual.
It was only, I think, this past week that I even found out who this person was. I'm be totally honest. I heard one of her songs on Instagram on like a reel. I was like, oh, this is good.
Chloe, do you have TikTok?
No.
That's
I
why.
don't.
So like she's been out for a while, but Instagram gets all their stuff like a few weeks after TikTok.
That's what I always hear. I'm always behind on the trends and the humor, apparently. So
I don't have TikTok either, so I do not know who this person is. So Delaney,
let's go, Caroline.
Yeah, the first I'm hearing Chapel Roan, which is it sounds like I'm missing out.
It's a cool name.
That's a dope name.
Her name actually comes, I was doing some research. Her name comes, so I think it was her grandfather's last name was Chapel. And then his favorite, the Roan comes from his favorite like Midwest movie, and the last word of the title is Roan. And so she came up with the name that way, which I think is super cool. It's a super unique name. She actually went viral on YouTube before she even started making music, and then she got a deal with Atlantic Records, but she literally like did not grow like at all. Like, she released her first EP in 2017, but like it just didn't blow up the way. And she actually got dropped by Atlantic Records in 2020, like during COVID, just because like she wasn't growing in the way that they thought that she was. Had to have been such a huge setback.
They're
like,
kicking themselves now.
Like, just, I don't know. Like, and she kept going. She kept making music. She came out with her album, The Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess, in 2023, which is what all of the songs that have been trending on TikTok have been in. And it actually just recently re-entered the Billboard 200, which is really cool. And like and 3 of her songs are on the Billboard Hot 100 right now, which 2 of them are on that album that came out in 2023. So it's kind of cool that like this album that she came out with a year ago is like kind of getting its moment now. It's interesting that you never really know like what's going to blow up or like where success is going to come from. She did actually say she actually performed. So I'm from Raleigh. She performed in Raleigh this past week, and she actually got really emotional. She started crying during the set because she just like the fame was just like so much so fast. Because like, I mean, how can you prepare yourself for that? If I got famous tomorrow when I was about to give up on making music.
I hope what doesn't happen is she gets really famous and then she flops, because I feel like that's what happens with a lot of like the viral internet musicians, is they have really, really good song and it comes out and everyone loves it and then they flop. But she sounds like she has some resilience, so.
She actually, like, honestly, like, I don't think that's gonna happen. I mean, she toured with Olivia Rodrigo. She opened for Olivia Rodrigo on her most recent tour.
That's impressive.
Yeah, it's really cool. But I just think it's really awesome to see a young woman just kind of be so successful after facing so many setbacks. I think it's really, honestly, really inspiring. And also, she is one of the best vocalists, I think, of our time. Like,
I gotta go look this girl up. Like, it really does seem like I'm missing out on an awesome musician here, and it really is an inspirational story. Like, going 7 years just working hard, churning out music, and barely anybody listens to it, but she persevered anyway. Like, this, however overwhelming this fame is to her, she deserves it.
Yeah. And what's also really awesome is she's like a huge role model like for the LGBTQ plus community. So especially during Pride Month, like her blowing up is really awesome.
Yeah, awesome for that to happen like in June, like when it's time to stand up for that sort of thing. So while we're on the topic of things that we're commemorating in June, so we've got a paragon for Pride over here. And on Wednesday of this week, here in the US, we celebrated Juneteenth, which is a relatively new national holiday as far as they go. It was named a national holiday by President Joe Biden in 2021, but the day it celebrates happened a long time ago in 1865. Juneteenth commemorates the true end of slavery in the U.S., when the very last enslaved people learned of their freedom and were liberated. So if you remember back to your days in U.S. history in high school, all enslaved people were declared free under the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1st of 1863. But back then, news traveled slowly. It was hard to, like, the president didn't just sign a thing on national television. People didn't just know on January 2nd. And the proclamation could not be enforced in areas that were still under Confederate control, which was a lot in 1863. So on June 19th of 1865, 2.5 years later, a couple thousand Union troops sailed into Galveston Bay, Texas, and announced to the state of Texas that the roughly 250,000 enslaved people who lived there were free. So Juneteenth is considered to be the U.S.'s second Independence Day, or perhaps its true Independence Day for all who live here.
Woohoo! That's a cool story.
Yeah.
I'm glad that is getting its recognition. It's something that, like, there's no day for their freedom being celebrated, but there's a day for the country's freedom being celebrated. I think that's great to see that became a national holiday, and we get to celebrate that every year and make it more well known throughout the country.
I'm kind of interested to see, like, because it still is relatively new. I'm excited that we get to celebrate it now officially, like, as a country and together, because I mean it's so important.
Yeah, I hope that over time it becomes as important as the 4th of July. I feel like a lot of people are busy, and if we treat it like a normal day, as in, like, everybody just gets up and goes to work like they do, you don't even realize it's a holiday. And if you don't realize it's a holiday, then you're not going to be inclined to learn about why it's a holiday. So we just need to be talking about it more. So we're talking about it here. And while we're on the topic of liberation, I'd like to share with you the story of a man named Robert Smalls, who was an African-American ex-enslaved man from Beaufort, South Carolina, he was way cooler than I will ever be. So I can't wait to tell you about Robert Smalls. So I learned about Smalls in South Carolina history back in 8th grade, but that was a long time ago, and I had to look up a lot of the details. So shout out to a good old National Park Service, very well-written article for filling in the details of this story. So Robert Smalls was born into slavery in Beaufort, South Carolina in 1839. His enslaver was named Henry McKee and sent him to Charleston to be hired out to work for money. So Smalls got to work in Charleston city ports, like in the docks, and he learned about all the ships that were there. He fell in love with the ocean, with the open water. He got pretty good at managing boats. So when the Civil War came around, Smalls worked as a crew member on a ship called the Planter, and this was a ship in the Confederate Navy. And while he was working on this ship, he saw an opportunity for himself and for his family. So one night during the Civil War, when all the white crew members of the Planter left the ship to go into town in Charleston to have a night out, Smalls and all the other enslaved crew members seized up the ship completely unnoticed because everybody else had left, and they just stole it. They just sailed away from port, swung by a wharf to pick up all their family members who were waiting for them, and sailed like right on out of the harbor. They just left. Because Smalls, he knew how to drive the ship, so they weren't doing anything suspicious, and he'd spent a lot of time on this boat, like imitating, like he learned everything about the captain, like he learned how to imitate the mannerisms of the captain, and while they were sailing out, he even wore the captain's hat so that the people, the other Confederate soldiers, like standing at the checkpoints watching the ships coming and going, he looked like what they expected, so they didn't stop him. It's also worth noting that they sailed out of town at like 3:00 in the morning, so it was dark. You couldn't really see, but it still took some convincing. He had to pay attention. And so Smalls and his boat just sailed right on out of Charleston and sailed straight into the Union Navy, immediately turning over the Planter ship to the Union Navy and freeing Smalls, all his fellow formerly enslaved crewmen, and all of their families.
That's cool.
That's
And
pretty dope.
so the Union Army is like, so, you probably know a thing or two about Charleston. And Smalls was like, yeah, So he joined the Union Army, continued sailing for the Union Army, the ship that he stole, and like turned over every secret he knew about the Confederate Navy and Army in Charleston to the Union Army. Like this was pretty vital information that he could hand over. He was still fighting for freedom for everybody else too. And Smalls never forgot about his hometown down in Beaufort in the low country of South Carolina. In 1864, he swung back down to Beaufort and noticed that the mansion house that his former enslaver lived in had been seized by the state for the fact that that McKee didn't pay the taxes on it. So Smalls was like, I'll buy it. And he bought his former enslaver's house and property and continued to live in it for the rest of his life.
What a move.
I know.
What an absolute dominant move.
That's awesome. It's like, you think I can't? Well, watch me.
Watch me. He said, hold my beer. I'm gonna go do this thing. Once he got his wife and children all settled in Beaufort, also in 1864 at some point, he was in Philadelphia. He was arrested for riding in a segregated streetcar in Philadelphia. And the public sight of such a war hero being mistreated and being arrested for something like this, people were so mad, and Smalls helped lead a boycott against the Philadelphia streetcar system that led to the entire system becoming integrated. It was one of the first integrated transit systems in the U.S.
That's great.
It's so interesting to me that stories like Rosa Parks get told all the time in history, but these are cool stories that, I mean, I didn't know about this, obviously. I would have never known about this had you not told me. It's just cool that there's so many stories from so many different perspectives about history, and it's just, there's just so much to uncover.
I feel like it's worth noting that when he stole the Confederate ship and liberated his family and all his friends' families there, he was only 22 years old. So he was just like a young guy, like on the brink of adulthood, deciding what he wanted and taking it. He's our age, Meagan.
It's pretty cool.
Our age.
Yeah.
So during the Reconstruction period, this is really where anybody who knows about Robert Smalls this is probably what you do remember, is he got into politics during the Reconstruction era. He served as a delegate to the South Carolina State Convention. He was elected to the State House of Representatives, the State Senate, and starting in 1874, Smalls was elected to the U.S. Congress as a representative, and he served 5 terms in the United States Congress. Here in South Carolina, he was a huge advocate for education, and his work in the South Carolina legislature led to South Carolina being the first state to have free mandated public school.
Thank you for enlightening us with yet another history story, Caroline. I
Oh,
feel
yes,
like you are just the history nerd of the group.
Listen, this is like, I think, what did we just say? Like, this is my side hobby, my side hustle, as we say. I'm an accountant by day and a budding, I wouldn't even call myself a historian. Like, it's not like I'm doing research or anything. I'm just like on Netflix watching documentaries and thinking that things are interesting.
I will say I listened to Hamilton on my ride to work today and my ride home from work.
That makes me so happy. Like, go off. But yeah, so good old Robert Smalls. In 2017, former President Obama dedicated a Reconstruction-era national monument, now a historic park in Beaufort County, for Robert Smalls.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Cool
We
stuff.
should go visit in his honor.
A Good Morning Gamecocks field trip.
You know, I'll be in Hilton Head this weekend. I can probably swing by.
Well, it's almost the end of our second podcast episode, but this wouldn't be Good Morning Gamecocks without a fun food fact. So, Meagan.
Now, it wouldn't be a Good Morning Gamecock show without talking about hot dogs. I mean, what can you say? We have an update on our Joey Chestnut situation from last week. He will still be competing against his rival Takeru Kobayashi, but not on the 4th of July. Netflix is hosting a live competition on September 2nd called Unfinished Beef, with the two competing against each other. I'm kind of wrapped into this because I think I'm more wrapped in by the fact that I don't think Netflix has ever done a live stream of, some sort before, have they? Anyone know that?
Unfinished beef. I'm like stuck. That's so funny.
Yeah, I mean, Joey Chestnut and Kobayashi are legends of the food eating competition circuit. I guess there's people who are really, really interested in this, as one would be interested in football or baseball. Some people's things, I guess, is just eating competitions. So if that's what floats your boat, I'm so happy that this is like, if this is what floats your boat, like Meagan, I'm very happy for her to be able to have this.
I think that since it's so far after July 4th, where everyone's tuning in to, to watch this hot dog eating contest, like, it doesn't happen often. I don't see it being that big of a deal.
I almost think that because it's so far in advance, it kind of is like, I don't know. I just feel like they should just make it sooner.
Well, that's Labor Day, which is a grilling out holiday for a lot of, I mean, at least in the deep south, that's a grilling out holiday.
That's very true. So maybe we'll see that, on the TV screens of some barbecues, but Labor Day doesn't have a hold on us like it does July 4th of July, so I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see where this goes. I'm interested to see because it's a live.
I think what I'm the most interested to find out is if there's an extra spot for a new competitor and if we can sign up Meagan for this.
And I wonder if this new like Labor Day show thing, this is going to beg the question, is it the 4th of July that has a chokehold on us? Or is it Joey Chestnut?
I think it's just Joey. I mean, I don't watch the hot dog eating contest because I like watching people eat hot dogs. I feel like that's just a little odd. I mean, I watch it because I want to see Joey Chestnut on the hot dog chair,
Like, it's like a wreck in a NASCAR race. You don't watch it because you like it. You watch it because you can't not watch it.
That's so true.
Okay, I have a question for you, though. The 4th of July one is built around Nathan's Hot Dogs, and it's at Nathan's Hot Dogs on Coney Island. What are they doing? What kind of hot dogs are they going to be eating? The
Don't
vegan
ask
ones?
questions you don't want to know the answers to, Meagan. I think we need to leave it at that.
Wait, you're right, because it's going. Wait, this September 2nd showdown is going to be with. Wait, July 4th, or this new unfinished beef is sponsored by Nathan's?
Only July 4th is.
Oh, okay.
Netflix dogs.
Who's it's going to be sponsored by? That's my question. Like, will it be sponsored by the vegan ones that he's been promoting? Probably not.
I just can't imagine a vegan hot dog being good.
I have so many questions. I'm gonna tune in on September 2nd. I'm at least gonna look it up on September 3rd, just to catch up.
I mean, hey, we'll update y'all when we get back in the studio, back at school in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
What can I say?
Sounds good to me.
Well, with that, we wrap up Good Morning Gamecocks for today, June 21st, 2024.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram, X, and Facebook at SGTV at USC.
To keep up with all of our content, be sure to also visit us online at sgtv@usc.com. For SGTV, I'm Delaney Flanagan.
I'm Chloe Findlay.
I'm Meagan Daukshus.
And I'm Caroline Smith. From all of us here at SGTV, have a great weekend, Carolina. Forever to thee.